Welcome to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, your host. You can probably tell I'm in a good mood. No, a great mood. Because of our friends across the pond and their massive blow against the globalist quasi-fascist superstate known as the European Union. Yes, I'm talking about Brexit, the Leave campaign, the movement for British independence. June 23rd will go down in history as British Independence Day. Obama went to Great Britain and threatened them. He told them he would place them at the back of the pack when it came to trade. Hillary Clinton made the same threat. Angela Merkel, the face of the European Union, made a similar threat. British fearmongers in the media said they would be divorcing themselves from European culture. They would isolate themselves from European society. They called the Leave campaign racist, jingoist, xenophobic, Nazis, fascists, and everything else in the liberal dictionary of mean words to try to intimidate them into staying. They exploited the death of a British politician to try to frame the Leave campaign as insane. It didn't work. The British people voted to take back their country and make Britain great again. Many believe this will add to even more vigor to Trump's energetic campaign. Trump issued the following statement on Brexit. The people of the United Kingdom have exercised the sacred right of all free people. They have declared their independence from the European Union and have voted to reassert control over their own politics, borders, and economy. A Trump administration pledges to strengthen our ties with a free and independent Britain, deepening our bonds in commerce, culture, and mutual defense. The whole world is more peaceful and stable when our two countries and our two peoples are united together, as they will be under a Trump administration. Come November, the American people will have the chance to redeclare their independence. Americans will have a chance to vote for trade, immigration, and foreign policies that put our citizens first. They will have the chance to reject today's rule by the global elite and to embrace real change that delivers a government of, by, and for the people. I hope America is watching. It will soon be time to believe in America again. That was Donald Trump. An intelligent man, Alex Jones, once said, "The answer to 1984 is 1776. And the British proved him right. Maybe we should amend the phrase to, "The answer to 1984 is 2016. This is the year nationalism regains its rightful, necessary popularity. This is the year we the people take back our nations worldwide and tell the globalists who meet behind closed doors to plan and scheme that we are free, beautiful, sovereign human beings who will determine our own future. This is the year of global independence against the moneyed, against the special interests, against the globalists." We'll be right back, and I'll be with my co-host, Craig Chrysler, to talk everything Brexit after this short break. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, and I'm here with Craig Chrysler. So I think we decided to start with what Paul Manafort had to say. Manafort, this is from RealClearPolitics.com. Manafort, Brexit was rejection of globalism, establishment. Clinton is the epitome of establishment. And we'll just read a brief excerpt here. The promise is that globalism is the solution. The promise the government's going to make your life better if you just give up your freedoms. The promises we know better than you on how to make your lives better have been rejected, Manafort declared on Sunday's Meet the Press. That's what Donald Trump has identified, that's what Brexit identified, and that's what's going to be the basis for the election in 2016. I love Paul Manafort. He's got to be one of the best people in the media at this point. And that's really what it is. They said, no, we don't want our island to be ruled from Brussels.
Yeah. We don't want Germany ruling us after we won 2 world wars against them.
And, you know, the sick thing that they're coming out now is they're saying, well, old people shouldn't be allowed to vote because old people are just going to die. The old people are the ones who fought for British independence from Hitler.
Yeah.
How dare these young people say that they know better than them?
Well, yeah, that's insane. The whole thing's ludicrous. That there was even under German rule and allowed it to happen in the first place.
Well, and we can talk about how it started.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know what the European Union is.
Yeah.
I think that's shocking and sad. A lot of people don't know about Brexit, but it started because, like a lot of bad things start, well, we just got to get trade. We need trade between all the countries in Europe. So let's start this big union, which was foreshadowed by the global elite in, 1955. And, well, we just need trade between everybody. So they started with trade, and then it turned into, well, we got to have the same policies on everything. We got to have the same judicial policies. Because otherwise trade doesn't work if we're all different court systems. So then they gained a little bit more power. Then they gained some legislative power to where they could actually supersede, like, the British government. British government rules on this. The British court system rules this way. Well, then the European court system comes in and says, no. We're bigger than you. We're better than you. We know what's right. Who are you?
Yeah.
And they overrule. And so it encroaches and encroaches and encroaches until we've got, I'll call it fascism, because you've got big moneyed interests who buy off European politicians who aren't elected in many cases, and they get whatever they want out of them.
Yeah. Fascism or an oligarchy, one or the other.
Fascism requires an oligarchy.
Yeah,
just a few people making all the decisions.
That's how you slowly take over countries, is tiny steps, little by little by little. That's why Hitler did not win, because it was full throttle. I'm just going to do it all by force, but in the modern era, you got to sneak it in there.
Angela Merkel is doing what Hitler only dreamed of.
Oh, yeah.
Uniting all of Europe under one banner, one German banner.
Yeah.
And saying that her rule is supreme.
Yep, one rule.
Everybody likes to point out how Hitler would never have taken all these immigrants like Angela Merkel did. Hitler loved Islam. He said at one point, it's a shame Germany doesn't have Islam as its moral background, because he correctly identified Islam as a totalitarian ideology that he could have exploited to better unite people behind him. Kind of like the Islamic State.
Yeah, that's...
And so I think it's part of the reason why the European Union, and that's why Britain wanted out. That's the main reason, was immigration. They had immigrants from the third world, from the Islamic world, pouring in unprecedented numbers. They could do nothing about it because the European Union set the rules. They couldn't say, well, we don't really know who these people are. We need a temporary ban. They weren't allowed. 3% of the total British population is Muslim. Anybody who knows history knows that once you get between 5 and 10%, bad things start happening.
Yeah. I think 8% is the magic number.
8%, 8 to 10%. I think you're absolutely right about that. And that's when the peaceful minority becomes, well, we need special rights. We need special privileges. We're a significant part of the population.
That already started happening there. There's whole areas of London where it's no-go zones. Even the police won't even go in there because they're afraid.
That's right. Not only that, there's places not just all of England. The most popular name for a newborn. What's the most popular name for a newborn in England?
I have no idea.
Muhammad.
Yeah.
Muhammad. A classic British name, Nigel. It's just a very simple. Muhammad, yeah. Muhammad. That's what Britain is dealing with right now. No wonder they wanted out.
Jesus. Well, not only that, they had no control over any of their laws anymore.
That's right. There's one story that a great journalist, Paul Joseph Watson, brings up over and over and over again because it's just ludicrous. A British fishmonger, guy who sells fish, had to put on a package of salmon, product contains fish.
Yeah.
You're looking at a big salmon, product contains fish.
Yeah. Warning.
Warning, product contains fish.
Yeah.
Cost him thousands of dollars to put that on every single piece of fish that he sold.
Thanks to the EU.
Thanks to the European Union.
And they were also limiting stereo devices like headphones and everything else and iPods on volume.
On volume, because they know what's best for you.
You couldn't even listen to your music at what volume you wanted to under the
because it might disturb somebody, or it might hurt you.
It might hurt your eardrum.
You need to. They know what's best. The European Union's bigger. They know what's best. Father knows best.
Yes. Father Hitler.
Father Hitler. And we joke, but it's
Mother
absolutely
Merkel.
Mother Merkel. They call her that. They call her that.
Do they?
The great mother of Europe. The great mother of Germany. She's going to be voted out.
It really was Hitler's wildest dream come true, and they did it without firing a single round.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
well. They did fire some rounds. They did point some guns because in order to bring in the migrants, oftentimes they had to remove Europeans from their housing. In Europe, they have a lot of quasi-socialist housing systems where the government owns the house and they rent it to low-income individuals.
Yeah.
They kicked them out. They kicked people who lived in houses for 15 plus years. They sent them a notification saying you have to be out by such and such date because we're going to be anticipating an influx of migrants from such and such area, North Africa, Middle East, Saudi, well, no, not Saudi Arabia. It's no court could overturn that.
Yeah.
Because it just was all up to the British superstate. And that's why they got out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about the real reason.
I shouldn't have said without firing a single round in Europe, because they fired billions in the Middle East, which made all this possible in the first place.
That's right. They had to destabilize the population because, turns out Muslim immigrants from the third world, they tend to vote liberal.
They do.
In the United States, they tend to vote Democrat. In the EU, they tend to vote for all the big
Whoever's
government
giving
policies.
them money, yeah.
Whoever's giving them the free stuff.
Yeah.
They welfare shop. That's why they don't settle in a lot of southern European states. They don't really like Italy very much, though Italy has some massive problems.
Yeah.
But they don't like staying in Italy because
Like
Italy...
Poland, where they give zero welfare.
Don't like Poland very
Yeah.
much. But, what do you know? They get paid more in welfare in 12 months in Germany than they can get in the rest of Europe or back in their home in the Middle East over the course of their entire lifetime. Of course they're going to welfare shop.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to find the best place for their specific goals.
Yep.
When we come back, we'll talk more about Brexit after these messages. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, and today we're talking about everything Brexit, everything anti-globalism. So, something funny happened. You could call it funny. I think it's hilarious. 3 million Remain petition. This is the losers, the losing side, the liberals, as they often do. They stomped their feet, they cried in their cornflakes, and they said, well, it's not fair. The will of the people only counts when I want it to. So somebody created a petition for a second referendum to completely subvert the will of the people. Well, it turns out 3 million plus Remain petition uses script to fake signatures. 25,000 from North Korea. North Korea really wants to remain. 2,800 from uninhabitable Antarctica. This comes from Breitbart. Not only that, as of Sunday afternoon, around 41,118 signatories have come from the Vatican City. 11,717 from the United States. What a month. Yeah, right. And curiously, again, 24,855 from North Korea. Where they don't have internet access. Where the people have to use like 17 proxies to get any internet at all. At least 19,000 signatures have come from France. 2,735 from British Antarctic Territory, where there's only like 150 researchers. Which has a population of just 250 people. And in another report from heatstreet.com, there's actually a screenshot. There's a screenshot of a 4chan user's post dated 6/26/16 at 8:43 in the morning, where the person posted a screenshot of the script they're using to fake this thing.
Yeah.
So this is nefarious 4chan users, probably some from elsewhere. I don't know which board. I have a hard time believing it's Poll. Unless, it could all be that this is somebody saw this petition taking off and said, well, let's invalidate it. Let's put up a bunch of phony signed signatories so they can't subvert democracy.
Yeah.
Because... I don't know if the British Parliament is still going to talk about this, if they're still going, because they have to. Once it gets a certain number, they're obligated by law to talk about it. And they may still use it as an opportunity, because the majority of them, they don't want to be away from Mother Merkel.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they're going to try everything they can to get another vote. They've done it every time somebody's tried to get out of the EU.
That's true. Or anytime they try not to join.
Yeah.
Like in Ireland. tried to vote. The vote to join the EU. Oh no, we don't want it. Like 6 months later, they do another vote. Oh yeah, we want it now. They just keep voting until they win.
Yeah, until they get what they want.
This is like if we had a presidential election and our candidate lost. So yeah, let's just do it again in 6 months. And there was a member of the Tony Blair administration came out and said, well, when Cameron steps down, we're going to need to do a whole nother vote, and then that government should really do another referendum because things may have changed between now and then.
I was watching a little bit of their parliamentary proceedings today, and it kind of sounds like that's what they're going to try to do. Because he's like, nothing should be done until I'm gone. And then they were even trying to speed up hearings to have a earlier vote, which he went on and said, no, we can't do that.
Well, I had another source say that the whole reason Cameron doesn't want to do this is just because he's out of energy. He can't do it. He's defeated. I watched live. I stayed up all night because I was so happy about what was happening. And I watched live. I watched Cameron, the pig lover.
Yeah.
I watched him resign, and he looked defeated. He was a shell of a man.
Yeah,
I think his hair went grayer over that night.
Yeah.
Because, at the beginning of the night, it looked like it was going to go towards Remain.
Yeah, it did.
And all of a sudden, I think it was midnight our time, Brexit took a lead.
Yeah.
And they gave up the lead for about 5 minutes at one point, and it just grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And nobody likes to say this, but I think over 1 million more people voted to leave than stay.
Yeah, it was well over more. I think it was a couple million.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And so that's everybody the Remain people like to pretend, well, it's just barely, if we did another vote and when it's not so rainy out, then, If you're going to be intimidated by the rain, then apparently it's not a big issue to you.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people say. Well, it's not fair. It was raining. It was bad weather.
Yeah.
Only the crazy Remain people were going to brave a storm. It's Britain.
Yeah, like it never rains there.
Right. It rains 364 days a year.
Yeah.
They get 1 day of sunshine and they all go out and try to get a tan.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was pretty awesome that he stepped down right away, though. I mean, he put everything behind that full globalist. They probably told him to. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I remember the night, their day when the vote happened. People were calling for him to resign almost immediately.
Yeah.
Even the liberals were, because how could he possibly? When he was defeated so soundly, and I would have been shocked if he didn't.
Yeah.
I would have been completely shocked.
That's pretty, because that wouldn't happen in this country. Like Obama just lost all them cases he's trying to do, bring all the migrants in, and his gun control, and
that's true.
He's just going to do it anyway, he said.
Well, he'll do it with executive orders.
Yeah.
And then, unless Hillary Clinton gets in, they're all gone in the blink of an eye when Trump gets in.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump, that's one of the things he's been saying for months, is the first day in office, he's going to undo executive order after executive order. Because it's legislation by fiat. It's President Obama with a pen, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And all you have to do
Which
to
is
undo...
illegal.
Well, it's completely
the
legal.
First... well, it's illegal, most of the stuff they're doing.
Oh,
the first
it's
executive orders
unconstitutional.
was to order China for the White House and stuff like that.
Right. Well, it's unconstitutional is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely legal in the sense that Obama's pen is God.
Yeah.
But then the thing is that nobody likes to admit is if the globalists lose the White House, which really might happen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen. I think Brexit's going to make it
That's what
happen.
this whole thing's a battle for, is against globalism and pro-nationalism.
That's right. And when they lose the White House, not if at this point, it's when. It's when Trump wins. All he has to do is just undo everything. He can undo, 50, 75 years of work with a pen.
Yeah.
Because they were stupid enough to forego Congress and put all the power in the executive office. I mean, he can get rid of, I think, a lot of the funding for the Department of Education, the Department of Energy. He can get rid of Obamacare probably with the stroke of a pen, because I'm sure Obama had to use a stroke of a pen to finalize it getting in. It'll be easy.
It'd be nice if that happens. Get rid of foreign aid, everything else.
Well, and I think even Trump says, you can use that as a tool. You don't just give it to people regardless. You use it as a tool to ensure people will go in American interest.
Yeah.
You don't sit there and give it to all of our enemies who would say awful things about America, who burn American flags.
Bringing millions of Muslims in a year, sending them to every state, and the governors of the state don't even know who's there, how many they got, or anything.
It's
insane.
I think the federal government does. I think these agencies do. But they've been saying for years they want a North American Union, just like we have a European Union. And as we know, the nature of states is to grow. It'll start with trade, and then it'll be laws, because we have to have all 50 states and the United States and Mexico and Canada. They all have to be united, otherwise it's just not going to work. Before you know it, we'll have a trans-governmental army, like the European Union is now being revealed to have.
Yeah.
And we'll have lost our freedom. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is it all rolling back because of Great Britain, which I thought was lost. I'll admit it. I thought before Brexit, I didn't see any way for them to get back to freedom.
Yeah.
I thought the Magna Carta was going to be thrown out a window, put in a museum somewhere for people to scoff at. I thought it was over.
I'm still amazed they actually got out, that it was allowed to even happen.
Yeah. Well, see, I think they thought they could defeat it with propaganda. It's like just a week before it happened, the poor British, I think it was an MP, shot, killed in the middle of the street. Immediately, seconds after it happened, British newspapers, British media.
She was stabbed on live on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it was by a crazy crazy Leave person.
Yeah.
And it turns out this Leave person was a Nazi. This happened the week after Orlando, where we were told, well, it's nothing to do with religion. You can't blame everybody for the actions of one person. I think that woke a lot of people up.
Yeah.
We'll be right back to talk more Brexit after these messages. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, and yes, we're still talking about Brexit. So, before they left, everybody was saying, Obama said it, we're going to put you at the back of the pack. Britain's not going to be one of our strongest allies anymore because we'll have to trade with you individually. We can't just trade with the giant superstate European Union and make it work.
Yeah.
Well, within 1 or 2 days after the vote, Germany, USA, and Canada all say they want special trade deals with post-Brexit Britain. A couple hours after this article went out, the president of Iceland, that was Breitbart, by the way, and this is also Breitbart, reported through the AFP. The president of Iceland has welcomed Britain's exit from the European Union, voicing hopes that the UK will now strengthen its relationship with Iceland, Greenland, and Norway.
Imagine that. Huh?
What do you know?
Yeah.
Turns out when they leave the European Union, they're not isolationists. They're just taking their future into their own hands.
Yeah.
So they don't have to abide by whatever crummy trade deals the European Union decides the British get.
They're probably going to get way better deals now, too.
I would certainly think so.
Yeah.
Maybe that poor fisherman we mentioned in the second segment, maybe he can stop putting salmon in fishes contained in salmon on every single package they send.
The British fishermen can actually start fishing again.
That's right.
'Cause under the EU, they had restricted them so much, they were buying their own fish back from the Nordic countries.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's okay because, Britain has too much money and we just need to redistribute some of it over here. That's one thing that we haven't talked about. I think the European Union, without Britain's extreme wealth, it's going to crumble.
Oh, they got Germany.
Yeah, Germany cannot support all the failing states. They can't support Greece. They can't support Italy. They can't support every single failing state in Europe by themselves. It will bankrupt Germany.
And we've seen what that did before.
That's right. It'll be Weimar Republic Part 2.
Yeah, and then
Merkel edition.
And then a nice dictator rises up.
Well, luckily, I think after reeling from their current dictator Merkel, maybe we can avoid that.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm hoping Merkel's going to be voted out. The only region where she's still got strong support for her upcoming re-election in Germany is her home region. And it's still at like 40%. I mean, she's out. She's gone. She's done.
Wasn't she voted Woman of the Year or something?
She was.
Yeah.
They picked
Just
her.
like Hitler was voted Times Man of the Year twice.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it was Merkel who did not have popular support. And because, you can go online and you can vote. And Trump got the most votes. But they still chose Merkel.
Oh.
I'd almost rather it not be Trump. They don't exactly have a good track record.
No, yeah.
Why would you want...
they love German dictators at Time magazine.
Yeah, well, they love dictators in general, I think. It's the popular thing nowadays. It's the hip thing. It's the socialist thing. It's what they think is the popular thing.
Well, they're a globalist-ran media. Just,
of course.
This whole operation's globalism.
Many media outlets are because they're owned by people who have vested interests. Everybody looks and they says, well, media has a bottom line just like everybody else. No, False. They don't. They're puppet vocal outlets for vested interests. It's like the Washington Post, who I try my hardest never to report on this show. Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. Amazon is dependent on cheap Chinese goods along with their borderline slave labor conditions in order to keep their... I call it a monopoly. Their monopoly. You go to Best Buy, you go to Walmart is one of the ones that's weathering the storm. You go to Best Buy, you go to Staples, you go any department store in the United States almost. It's like a third world country.
Yeah, their shelves are what they used to be. You used to go to Best Buy to get CDs and stuff. You go in there, they got like 5 CDs now.
Well, when I got some work done. I got a new radio put in my car. And I thought, well, while I'm here, I'm going to look for computer speakers.
Yeah.
They had 4 computer speakers.
Yeah.
4. They had what is that? That's quasi-socialist type of variety.
Yeah. 5-10 years ago, you'd go in there.
2 years ago, I went in and they had this kind of stuff. For an old car, I went and got a radio fixed, changed out on.
Yeah, that's where you went.
And the absolute reason for this is because Amazon is muscling them out of the market. Amazon is terrified that Trump is going to come. Well, first of all, Amazon is terrified that Trump is going to end these cheap imports. That might end the monopoly right there.
Yeah.
But Amazon is terrified Trump is going to come after them on antitrust laws. And I'm not typically one for antitrust laws because a libertarian, free market libertarian, I don't think they're necessarily necessary in a free market. We don't have a free market.
No, we haven't had a free
Amazon
market
buys politicians. They buy newspapers. They buy anything they can to get their message out there. They push the fact of, Amazon's perfect. Amazon is great. I'm excited for it to end. I think the alternative media, because we do have bottom lines, we do have to report the truth, because if we don't have anybody else who's going to keep funding us.
Yeah.
We're going to muscle them out.
We don't have billionaires like George Soros.
That's right. Yeah. We don't have owners like ABC has Disney now. Yes, Disney owns a lot of different media companies, but I don't think that's where the majority of their money necessarily comes from. I think they need to work, Disney brings in people using the H-1B visa program from other countries who are basically serfs. They're in this country to work at Disney. They can go nowhere else. They bring these serfs in from China, from India, from wherever, and they tell the United States citizens, all right, train these people to do your job. You got 6 weeks and you're out.
Yep.
Nobody cares about that because Disney owns ABC.
Yeah.
And Disney probably owns newspapers. They own various cable networks.
They own huge amounts of media.
Well, it is true. It's a startling fact that most of the mainstream media, you have to put that caveat in, is owned by the same 5 or 6 companies. Yeah. Which are essentially individuals.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to talk about that on the media because, you don't tell the truth about yourself. But, we're not to compare ourselves to MSNBC for various reasons. I think their viewership is down to something like 600,000 people in prime time.
Yeah.
In a country of 350 million, plus all the illegals.
That's pathetic.
It really is. I mean, there are alt-right conservatives on Twitter who get that just with a tweet.
Yeah.
And this cable network, which has all the propping up of the now soon-to-be defunct mainstream media outlet system, propping them up, they still can't get viewers.
Yeah.
No wonder Rachel Maddow looks so sad all the time. How long till Megyn Kelly and Rachel get their own show?
Yeah.
But they could do talking points and both just spout nonsense.
Yeah, Megyn Kelly has changed her appearance and everything again, though.
That's true. She's
back to being Miss Nice Girl.
Well, for now,
Yeah.
And I will admit, I think she's coming. I think Fox News is not quite so cucked that they're going to go down with the ship.
Yeah.
I think they're coming around. I think they want to be on the winning side. And I think now that it's clear Trump is the nominee, Trump is the winner, Trump's probably going to smash Hillary if you don't look at the crooked polls where they oversample Democrats, undersample independents, undersample Republicans. If you look at the writing on the wall, it's clear Trump's going to win, and Fox News doesn't want to be on the losing side of a Trump administration.
That's true. They're definitely going along with him now.
Well, and some always have. Like Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity's been on board almost since day one.
Yeah.
I like Sean Hannity. I think he's a little bit of a, okay, we'll go this way.
Yeah.
But you got to at least respect him for that. It's the media. What do you expect out of them? What I do expect out of the media is for them not to dig their heels in so deep that they're still pretending Cruz is going to win.
Yeah.
There are still some who think that Cruz is going to come in the convention
Yeah, they're planning their secret coup.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to be there. I'm going to be there. And I'm going to ask these people, if it starts to happen, I'm going to go door to door, and I'm going to ask these people, why are you voting against the person who overwhelmingly won? Why are you voting against the person who won the most votes out of any Republican in GOP history? Why are you voting against the will of the people? Why are you subverting democracy?
Because he's not the globalist candidate.
That's right. We'll be right back with more about what's going to happen in Cleveland and more about Brexit after these messages. Welcome back to the Honest Media. I'm Tom Papper. We're talking about Brexit, and we kind of got off into the Cleveland Convention. And I haven't said this yet before. I said it in the last segment, but I'll say it again. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there on the floor. I'm getting there the 18th, I believe. I'm leaving the 22nd. And I'm going to cover the thing from start to finish. If they try to steal it, we're going to be there. You're going to be here covering it from the studio. I'll be there covering it live, as live as we get, on location.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried. Maybe we should have the guy with the concealed carry type stuff going. But I think I'm going to get some pepper spray, and we'll make do.
Yeah.
We did get a
I'd
victory.
at least have pepper spray.
We did get a victory. They aren't going to force. It's still coming out. But it looks like we've got a victory in that there's not going to be 5,000 plus protesters in the same exact venue as 10,000 plus Trump supporters.
Oh, really? Did they change that?
We got the court case. It looks like it's going to go in our favor.
Yeah, that would have been the worst.
Would have been a little bit scary, because they're not real protesters. These are paid actors who generally do not care about becoming felons.
Does that include the Black Lives Matter movement they were going to put in with all the Trump supporters?
Right. They're going to put us all in the same area.
Yeah.
And granted, I'll be inside the convention. We have press clearance. I'm still waiting on security approval. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about globalism while I wait for security approval.
Yeah.
But we have, and they're also dragging their feet on giving us rooms. Let's talk about this for a minute. We signed up months ago. As soon as we got our credentials, we signed up for a thing so we can get a room. Because for those who don't know, the GOP buys up every single hotel room in the entire city, and then they sell it through them. They sell it back to the media, the accredited people who are going to be there, the delegates, et cetera, et cetera. That way they know that we've got enough room. We signed up to be in a list, so we would be contacted about this. Nothing. Never contacted. We are waiting. We're waiting. Finally, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, our general manager says, okay, I'm just going to have to call him. This is ridiculous. We call, you folks didn't ever sign up. Well, we could probably do something, but you're going to have to be put on a waiting list. So they're hearing from us about every day now. Yeah. And I think we're going to get rooms. I think we're going to get 3 rooms, one for me, one for the executive producer, one for the our friends from Chicago who are going to be joining us, Biz Brackett, and another fellow who will be helping do the technical aspect. Yes. I think we're going to get rooms. If we don't get rooms, I'm staying in an Airbnb. I'm not going to stay home because the GOP decided to try to silence me by making me have to drive 55 minutes to the nearest hotel. I'm going to stay 5 minutes away because the free market has given us this wonderful thing called Airbnb. We've got a way to be there. It's just amazing. I don't know if this is because we're small. I don't know if this is because we're Trump supporters. I don't know what it is, but I'm disgusted by it. What is going on with the GOP where they are that incompetent? Maybe it's just that it's a government-affiliated group. Yeah. Anyway.
The government's swell at getting everything done, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Everything they touch just seems to work so well. Just look at the post office or the DMV.
Just turns solid crap.
Yeah, that's about right. Okay. What I was going to talk about before I got triggered was from the Washington Examiner. Former Cruz campaign officials push for delicate coup at GOP convention. Bob Vander Plaats, a former national co-chair of Ted Cruz's presidential campaign, told NBC that everything's got to be on the table when it comes to exempting delegates from supporting Donald Trump at the convention. On Tuesday, Cruz's New Jersey state director, Steve Lonegan, called for a delicate revolt. And this is a couple weeks old now, but we all heard about it. We all heard the rumor that 30 delegates got a conference call and they're going to do screw with the Rules and Subcommittee, Rules and Proceedings Subcommittee, something along those lines, to try to put in a vote your conscience rule, where if you don't like Trump, you don't have to vote for him.
Yeah.
And they can bring in low energy Jeb. They could bring in Lion Ted. They could bring in. I don't think it'll be Little Marco. I think Little Marco's on board. I actually do. Maybe I'm mistaken.
He's running for Senate again.
That's right, which he said he wouldn't do. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't trust him as far as you can throw him. I mean, he's so small, you could probably throw him quite a long ways, but you can't trust him. I would love to see a revolt, he told CNN. It's time for the Republican Party to get some backbone and stand up to this guy. And when he says Republican Party, he means the GOP-E, the GOP elite. Mm-hmm. The people who said, oh, Trump's never going to run. Oh, he'll get out before Iowa. Oh, he'll never win a state. Oh, he'll never win the popular vote. Oh, he'll never win a vote from a plurality of states. Oh, he'll never get the convention.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll never poll well against Hillary. The people who have been consistently wrong since June 16th of last year.
Yeah.
Steve Deese, a prominent conservative radio host and former member of Cruz's Iowa statewide leadership team, has called on the delegates to the GOP convention to declare your independence. We're talking about anti-democracy here. We're talking about these people saying, no, forget the will of the people. The people are dumb. Mm-hmm. We know what's best. Yeah. We're the GOP establishment. We're your masters.
Yeah, sounds like an oligarchy, doesn't it?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, Trump's been saying all along, the only reason why he won it all is because state after state, it was landslides.
Yeah.
It was big, big margins.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like 2012 where it was Santorum with 49 and Romney with 51.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing like that.
He blew him out the water.
Except for in a handful of states that are by far the most, what is wrong with those states? I won't name them. I won't name and shame. You know who you are. Overwhelming landslide. Most votes in GOP history.
Yeah.
More than Lincoln. More than Bush. Either Bush.
Yeah.
He's by far the populist candidate.
Yeah.
They want to subvert the will of the people for their chosen guy.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think with all the money that donors gave Jeb, I think it would be Jeb. And he did confirm he's going.
Well, of course it's Jeb. He's the globalist crime family, the Bushes.
He's their first sock puppet.
Yeah.
And they hedged their bets on Cruz. Mm-hmm. I think Roger Stone is right when he says that the Bushes actually hate Cruz, but they'll use him as a puppet if they have to.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, everybody seems to hate Cruz. Anybody who's ever worked with him says he's like the most angry, emotional, thoughtless person they've ever met.
Yeah.
You look at him for 5 minutes and you say, okay, I get that.
I think it was his college roommate called him. What was it?
Oh, that's right. He called him. I don't think we can repeat what he called him.
Yeah.
But let's just say, Google it. Google Ted Cruz's college roommate calls him a. And you'll get to see the guy. I don't really, he's a big liberal. He was probably for Bernie or Hillary or something like that. But he lived with them for a full year. He shared a bedroom. I do know there's one story. I think we can repeat this on air because I don't think I have to say anything too colorful. They lived in a co-ed dorm, and Ted Cruz had a paisley bathrobe. And he would put on the paisley bathrobe, and he would walk down to the end of the hall, and he would just stare at the women's side. And the roommate actually had a group of girls come to him and say, can you control your roommate? He's really creeping me out. Mm-hmm. And, there's a reason that the Ted Cruz sex scandal blew up in his face. I think it's real. I think, like Bill Clinton, it's probably real.
Yeah, creepy Ted.
Creepy Lion Ted. We really should quit calling him that, because now people need to go to lyingcrookedhillary.com. Lyingcrookedhillary.com. Sign up for Trump's mobile text alerts. You'll get a new notification every time she lies. It's possibly my favorite website on the internet right now. I love it. Lyingcrookedhillary.com. Let's talk about that. Donald Trump is campaigning like nobody else has ever campaigned. He's connecting directly with his constituents before they're even his constituents. He sends texts. He sends follow-up texts. He sends emails. That's one thing that we need to talk about as we close the segment. He sends emails. Now he's doing text, perhaps because Gmail, one of the largest email providers, if you've got a Gmail, you might check your spam folder and see exactly how many Donald Trump emails are being sent to your spam folder. They're doing it. That's like the lowest little thing I could think. It's just so petty that if an email is from someone in the Trump campaign, more often than not, I think it's going back because I've had some media blowback on this, and from the right-wing media, the alt-right media, the honest media.
Well, Google's already caught messing with searches for Hillary.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
when we do research for this show, it takes me a couple hours every week to compile everything I want to talk about. I can't use Google.
Yeah.
If you Google Donald Trump anything, it's anti-Donald Trump. If you Google good stories about Donald Trump, it's anti-Donald Trump. If you Google the time Donald Trump opened his top 1% club to blacks, Jews, and other minorities, you get anti-Donald Trump articles. I use Bing. I don't particularly like Bing. They funded Rubio. But I use Bing because Google, you cannot use Google as a reputable source of information regarding Donald Trump.
Yeah, and anything Hillary, you Google that, it's pro-Hillary,
That's right.
pro-Bill. Try to find stuff about Bill Clinton raping people on there.
You got to go really hard.
Yeah,
and then you see something about Monica, if you're lucky, which was
Yeah.
consensual. It's not even the issue Trump talks about. We'll be right back with more on The Honest Media. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Papper with Craig Chrysler. We've been talking Brexit, we've been talking convention, we've been talking Lion Ted. We promised last week that every week we would at least devote one segment to lying, crooked, worthless, scummy Hillary. And this is a creepy, creepy story that backs up what we've been saying since episode 1 about the Clintons and their mysterious list of disappeared people or mysterious deaths.
Just seems to happen.
Just really weird.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's like just never shake hands with a Clinton. Bad things happen.
Yeah.
Coroner, former UN official John Ash died when barbell fell on his neck. Now you can look at me, you can look at Craig. I think he knows a bit more about barbells than me. Craig, tell us what a barbell is, for those who maybe don't work out. Tell us how it is used. Tell us how likely it is for this tragedy to happen.
Well, I believe it said he was bench pressing at his home. It didn't say what amount of weight he was using, which to crush your neck, I mean, you'd have to have several hundred pounds on there, and he's fairly old. I don't know if it said his age on there. But I've been in and out of gyms for 17, 18 years. Not once I've ever heard of anybody dropping the bar on their neck and dying from it.
And now the reason why this story is important, the day of his death, or maybe the day after, he was scheduled to testify against the Clintons. Isn't that just a bizarre coincidence? Poor man.
Yeah.
Kind of like the poor individual who was found, shot twice in the head with his, what's the rest of the story? Hands duct taped behind his back, and I think he might have even been hogtied with his feet and dragged into the park. But he was ruled a suicide. Because,
There were several of them like that. It's hard to keep them all straight.
It is. And next week, I think what we're going to do, there's lots of websites where you can view the entire Hillary Clinton mysterious death list. In fact, if you're sitting at home and you don't want to wait for us, Google that. Google it right now. Hillary Clinton mysterious death list. It's out there. Anybody can look at it. Maybe we should just sit here and read the names and talk about these many people who have died over the Hillary and Bill Clinton's careers.
What was this guy? He was getting ready to expose their fraud into the Clintons.
The Clinton Foundation.
Foundation,
which takes, as Trump said, Trump did a beautiful, if he didn't have his own security plus Secret Service, I think he may be next on the Clinton mysterious death list.
Somebody tried to get him just the other week.
That's true. And then, the disgusting things, it was in Las Vegas, Nevada. A crazed lunatic tried to grab a police officer's gun in the middle of a rally and shoot Donald Trump.
A British guy.
Was it really?
Yeah, he must have been on the stay side.
That's right. They're all a bunch of lunatics on the stay side. Those crazy... The guy's nuts, and I think that's the correct way to describe it. He's a loser, he's nuts, he's stupid. He's got to be stupid. Part of me wonders, could he have even figured out how to turn the safety off?
Yeah.
Because not a smart guy, goes up to a cop, and I watched the rally. You can see a female who probably is a fairly short individual. She looks short. Grab him and twist his arm backwards and parade him through the venue as they took him out.
That's a total idiot.
Yeah, really.
Try grabbing a cop's gun out of their holster, see how that goes for you.
Yeah. Now, you can say what you want. Maybe they're not the most trained people. They're not all ex-military, but it's not that hard to prevent somebody from grabbing your gun out of your holster when you're a police officer who has had any level of training with firearms.
Yeah.
And that's not the first one who tried to do it to Trump. You know, we got off on this tangent about this. That's one of the things I fear the most. But I think Trump is smart enough, and he commands loyalty. Anybody who works for Trump loves it. You found one person, the media has found one person who said, no, I didn't really like that Trump guy. It was a woman, I believe it was a woman, who...
Yeah. After she said she loved him.
Yes.
And wrote a book about it.
Worked for Trump, left... I think she was fired, sent a letter begging to come back. And then I think, I'm probably butchering the details, but then when Trump said, well, no, I don't want you back, we fired you because you're incompetent, then all of a sudden she doesn't like Trump. So only the incompetent and the people who get fired dislike Trump. So I think that the Secret Service, regardless of whether they may or may not have worked for globalists previously, you know, the man commands loyalty. Not only that, I think he's still got his own security, who, again, the man commands loyalty.
And he wears a bulletproof vest. That's why his jacket's always open.
Wears a bulletproof vest, and he carries.
Yep.
You know, he said that before. I'm waiting for him to one day pull it out and say, you know, if somebody had one of these, maybe we wouldn't have had Paris. Maybe we wouldn't have had Brussels. Maybe we wouldn't have had...
that's something we really got to worry about is, you know...
Well, the global...
DNC or somebody paying somebody off to go after him.
It seems like any time we get somebody who challenges the globalist status quo, bad things happen. Kind of like any time somebody challenges the Clintons, bad things happen.
As long as he doesn't overtly go after the Federal Reserve, he should be...
And he does it quietly.
Stay alive.
You know, he said numerous times, the Federal Reserve audit is important, we got to do this. It'll usually be like in a tweet. You know, he won't talk about it in a speech.
You start going after the Federal Reserve, you end up dead.
Well, because that's the lifeblood of globalism.
Which is as federal as Federal Express. If many people probably don't have any idea what the Federal Reserve even is.
That's right, and they control our monetary policy. They're the ones who, anytime there's a glitch in the system, they start flooding the market with cheap money, and they don't just give it to anybody. We don't get the cheap money.
It's a privately owned bank. You can't even get the list on who owns it.
Well, that's right. The chairmen are, by and large, the most economically illiterate people who probably exist. I mean, the Federal Reserve chairmen are generally just morons. You had Ben Bernanke, who was one of the biggest jokes on the internet for the longest time, because he still believes quantitative easing works, and he's probably one of these idiots who will say, yeah, we can negative interest rates, which is like pre-Stone Age stupidity.
Which America will always be in debt as long as the Federal Reserve exists, because it's a debt-based system.
Well, as long as it exists, and as long as it exists in its current form. It may be difficult to do what Ted Cruz lied about and go back to the gold standard, because you know Ted Cruz wasn't going to go back to the gold standard. His wife sat on the Council of Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who comes out...
She was also one of the former heads of Goldman Sachs, too.
That's right, that's right. Vested interest in keeping a fiat currency system.
Yeah.
The fact that anybody believed Ted Cruz liked small government...
Once I found all that out about Ted, it was over.
Yeah, I agree.
Over with.
I think Ted's going to have a hard time running again, personally.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe. Okay, one more headline, then we've got to wrap this show up. This is from Breitbart.com. Hacked DNC file. Fears over hidden Clinton Foundation donations from former Russian uranium executive. Now, what this story is about, and I think this is a good one to close on because people need to go look at the speech Donald Trump gave over the lying, crooked Hillary Clinton. All of her donations from governments that kill gays, stone women, make it so women can't drive, own property, or go to school. Hillary Clinton takes jewelry from these places. She takes money from these places. She takes bribes through the Clinton Foundation from these places. She puts them on the website for a while, then she takes them down when she starts running for office. But this is important because Hillary Clinton and the globalists allegedly don't like Russia, but apparently there's some globalists in Russia because a uranium executive in Russia now owns a shocking amount of United States uranium supply because they paid off Hillary Clinton. They gave a bribe to the foundation. All of a sudden, the State Department under Hillary Clinton gave them the rights to all kinds of American uranium.
It was like 20% or something?
I think 40.
40,
yeah.
40%.
And for those who don't know, uranium makes nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to the Russians who we just got out?
Why are we giving that to anybody?
Well, yeah, really.
Yeah.
Why are we when our nuclear facilities are crippled and archaic
just
and the
handing
phone
out
lines don't work?
To the highest bidder.
To the highest bidder.
Yeah.
That's what Hillary Clinton does. She sells our country to the highest bidder. She gets herself rich as Americans get poorer. And she's setting it up right now, I honestly believe, for the next generation of globalists, for the next generation of people to sit back and rob us, to rob people my age, to rob people your age.
Well, if she gets elected, there won't be the United States of America anymore. It'll be
The North American
the
Union.
North American Union.
And that is what we're here to prevent. That's why the honest media exists.
And then eventually the World Union.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it worked in Star Trek.
Yeah, we're a little ways off from there.
That's right.
Maybe once we get there, we can do that. But
Well, all right. This has been a great show. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll connect with us online. You can find us at kgpt26.com. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. We'd love to hear your feedback. Know what to do next time. And we'll see you next week, right here on The Honest Media.